Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. I've had a very busy and exciting past couple of days. There's going to be a lot of, well, not a lot, but some very exciting changes coming. I can't quite announce them just yet because of reasons that if I tell you the reasons, then you'll know what it is and it'll defeat the purpose. But some exciting stuff is happening that I'm going to tell you as soon as I possibly can. But I'm really looking forward to this, what I've got planned. I think it'll be fantastic. I think you guys will love it. So if you want to be involved and keep up to date, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But yeah, otherwise, just keep an eye on things and I'll let you know as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm fizzing. Some really cool stuff coming. So yeah, but no, thank you very much all for tuning in. Aside from that, I didn't have too much else exciting things to report. So why don't we go ahead and jump into today's video, which is not going to be as fun, but important. So here we go. So the thing I want to talk about today is something that I think is really important that literally nobody talks about. It's not something I don't think I've ever heard anyone talking about it before on YouTube, on Facebook, on any kind of social media platform in person. Like, never heard anyone talk about it, like fish clubs or anything. Just no one talks about it, and I think it is so important. And that is what happens to your fish if you die, or if you are what's it called, incapacitated or something like that. Like, what happens to your fish if you were no longer around to look after them? I can't remember when it was, but at some point I saw someone, oh, it might have been one of you guys talking in the comments of the YouTube on one of the previous videos, saying that you had to go to hospital for like 3 months or something, and your fish just got left, and they all survived luckily, but no one was feeding them, no one was water changing, nothing. And for this kind of tank, it was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like tetras and like little stuff like that. And they were fine because there's like a big tank, enough like microalgae, all these kind of microfauna, microflora, all this kind of thing for them to nibble on. But if I left these guys, for example, for 6 months, they're obviously just going to die, and that's no good. So I think it's something we need to all think about, because taking on fish is a big responsibility. It depends, obviously, there's degrees. Like, an arowana and a bunch of Oscars is different to a bunch of tetras. But the idea as a whole does hold true. And so that is that with these fish especially that are like more specialist to look after, they're going to require sort of a plan in place, because I'll tell you guys what my plan is. So if I was to, I don't know, get run over on the way home today, that would obviously suck, and I'm going to try not to. But if it does happen, I do have a plan in place for what happens with all the fish here in the shop. There is a lot of fish like Jeremy here, the Oscar, Penny the arowana, all my African cichlids and that are a little bit more specialized in terms of their care, and I don't just want them going to like any old person. So to start off with, one of them, if anything happens to me, all my African cichlids are going to Ryan Jury off the podcast, 3 Idiots podcast. Shameless plug, link is down below. But because Ryan is my personal friend, and I trust him to know how to care for them, so that they won't die. And then I know that if it is necessary, or he wants to, he's going to be able to find good homes for all these fish. Like, maybe you'll make a bit of money selling them, maybe you won't, I don't care, I'll be dead. But he's going to be able to make sure that they go to proper homes where they're going to be able to survive. It's not like all my Africans are going to go to a 2-foot tank and die in a month. That's not good. I don't want that. I love my fish so much, so I want to have a plan in place for them. For all my bigger stuff, like my Oscars, arowana, etc., I have one friend who you guys won't know, obviously, because you don't know him, but one of my other friends is a monster fish guy. He's got, 3.5 meter tanks, big predator ponds, all this kind of thing. So I've organized that if I am to die, then his phone number's there. My mum has it, my partner has it, my dad has it, my brother has it, like everyone has it. So if I was to die, then he can come, take all the fish, and I know that they'll be in a suitable home. What he does with them from there, up to him. But again, it's someone that I trust enough to know that they're not just going to get flogged on to the next home. They're going to be moved to a proper home where they will have the best possible chance. All the other stuff, for the most part, like tetras and that, what I would do with those is I have it set up so like people can take them. There's like a few like my friends and stuff who are into that kind of thing, who I've got listed down, who can take it, and then the rest just give away. Because for me, platies, etc., are a lot more easy to care for, and most people will be able to care for a platy. Most people can't care for an African cichlid, arowana, that kind of thing. So for me, it's really important to make sure that I know I have a plan in place where I know these guys are going to go to somewhere where they're going to survive and be happy and be cared for. And I think that's something we don't think about a lot with our fish. Even when it was just like my personal fish, like at my old house, in my bedroom when I was living with my mum, or in my old fish room when I first moved out, I did have plans in place. A lot of them much more easy to care for, so it's like, oh yeah, just ring this guy or whatever, and it's like a bunch of tetras, no big deal. But particularly if you're keeping some more specialist, more advanced, more weird fish, I really think it's so important to have a plan written down. And written down is the key, because obviously if you die, everyone's going to be quite upset, I would hope. For me, if I die, I know my mum's going to be upset, my dad's going to be upset, everything. So I wanted to make that process as easy as possible. I don't want them to have to be like, oh, what are we going to do with all these fish? None of them know anything about fish. Like, they wouldn't know an Oscar from a guppy. So I don't want to saddle them with that responsibility of trying to figure out what to do. And I also, for the fish, have that responsibility to make sure that they go to a good home and to make sure that they're cared for. Something like an Oscar and arowana, like biches, African cichlids and stuff, they have long lifespans, and I have committed, in my head more than anything, committed to caring for them their entire life, and that commitment doesn't stop when I've gotten run over or something. So hopefully, obviously, I don't need this plan, but I think it is so important to have this plan, have it written down so it's easy for people to access and understand. Like, maybe have a bunch of phone numbers and stuff. The other thing is, I know a lot of people don't maybe know a lot of fish people. Maybe you live somewhere remote, or maybe you're just someone who just does your thing in your own space and you don't know any other fish people. So what I would say to do in that situation is contact your local fish store and ask if you can arrange for that. If I was to drop dead suddenly, can my sister bring you all my guppies and you take them, and I know that they're not just going to sit there and all die. Definitely want to ask beforehand, because I don't want, if someone came to me, brought, a 4-foot arowana, like, oh, so-and-so left this to you in their will, and here you go. That's not going to work, because I'm not going to have anywhere to put it, and it's just going to die. So having that kind of arranged beforehand, like talk to your local fish store. Most local fish stores I know would be more than happy for like any general, anything they can care for, they will. Like, you don't have, like, you're probably not going to be in a position where it's like, oh yeah, can you give me money for these, whatever. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about recouping an investment. We're talking about ensuring the well-being of a living animal. So talk to your local fish store, talk to other people you know, maybe a local fish club or on a local Facebook group or something like that, where you can arrange, maybe you get like a group chat going of like, okay, this is to the people, and it's like, who can look after your fish. It doesn't necessarily, I know I've focused a lot on like death, which sucks, but it doesn't have to be just that. It might be something like, oh, I've broken my back and I'm not going to be able to care for my fish for X months. Can someone look after them in my house, come visit once a week in exchange for free dinner? Can someone take them to their house and look after them till I'm back to full strength? Can someone just take them and then I'll get some new ones when I'm back on my feet? But I think having these plans in place is super important. We don't want to get to a situation where it's all of a sudden oh, I'm very badly incapacitated, having a medical emergency, whatever. Oh, but I also have to make sure my pets are okay. Because most people are going to do this kind of thing for their dogs, for their cats, for their horses, all this kind of thing. But people aren't going to do it for their fish, because unfortunately, fish aren't viewed as like important. But they really are. They're living things. They deserve to have a plan in place. Maybe it's not the perfect plan. I don't know. It's hard to predict the future. But at least having these steps in place so that your loved ones and that your actual fish themselves are all looked after and the process is as easy on them as it can possibly be. I think it's super important and something we just don't talk about. So I would really urge you to put these plans in place, talk to people you know, talk to local fish stores, talk to clubs, all this kind of thing, and maybe just try start thinking about it just in case. Obviously still be careful when you cross the road, don't get sick. I hope you guys never have to use this plan, but having the plan in place is super, super important, and I think one that takes a lot of stress off everybody in your life if something bad is to happen. So I hope it's maybe sparked a thought that nobody has thought about before, because yeah, it's not something people think about. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope it's useful for you. I hope it sparks some kind of thoughts in your head. If you've found this video useful, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I love you all. Stay safe. Don't get sick. Don't get injured. But see ya. Bye.